My name is Ohana. I'm a UI artist in Elvenar, and I've been working on Elvenar for about 4 years. I joined back in 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic, to work on events. So my main responsibilities were basically to take care of the user interface for our events. So creating all the assets that are needed and making sure that they get implemented in the game in the way that we envisioned. But after a while, I, of course, started working on other things like other features, also touching some things like Spire and tournaments, touching a little bit on every part of the game. And that always feels pretty great because it also helps me learn more about how the game works. But also, I always like to look into what the pain points of the game are, and I try to solve those pain points a little bit. So my day-to-day depends a lot on what kind of thing I'm working on. So if I'm working on a new feature, basically I have to do a lot of research and figure out what are other games doing, for example, or what exactly we want to achieve. And my favorite part of that is basically collaborating with our devs and our game designers. Usually they come up with the features and then I just work to make sure that that can be translated into something that you, the player, can interact with. And that is basically my favorite thing about working on Elvenar. One of the cool things about working on Elvenar as an artist or as a UI artist is that not only I work on the interface itself, so creating buttons and panels and figuring out where things will be placed on the screen, but also I get to work on stuff like portraits. So I get to do a lot of illustrations and painting, and so it's kind of always interesting. It's always different. It's not just pixel pushing. I also get to do a lot of drawing on my daily work, which is pretty great. A really rewarding thing about working in Elvenar is actually the team. We're a very, very close team. We collaborate a lot, and it's always a joy. Even when we're stressed trying to solve problems, everyone is really incredibly nice, and it's really a joy to work with those people. One thing that I find challenging sometimes when working on Elvenar is that it's a 10-year-old game, right? So sometimes we know we really want to do something that I know our players will love, but we can't really figure out how to touch it without breaking other parts of the game. So we have to work with a lot of restrictions from time to time, and we try to prioritize the right changes that will make the most impact for our players. One of the most challenging features to work on Elvenar so far for me was to actually design the merge mechanic for our events, because we had to adapt an existing game mechanic from other very famous games into something that works for Elvenar and that still feels good to play and feels rewarding and not too time consuming. And we had a lot of things to figure out, but working together with our game designers, it was very, very rewarding as well. And it's still, I think, my favorite feature that I worked on Elvenar.